She was celebrating her birthday completely alone, until the millionaire CEO walked into the staff kitchen and ate half of her birthday cake. Before we dive into this unforgettable story, tell us in the comments which city you're watching from. And when you reach the end, don't forget to rate this story from 0 to 10. Now, let's begin. There are moments in life when loneliness doesn't knock politely. It simply opens the door, walks in, and sits beside you. For Emma Sullivan, that moment arrived on the 45th floor of West Corp at exactly 11:47 p.m. on a freezing Tuesday night in Boise, Idaho. The entire office had already gone quiet. The laughter from the annual corporate celebration had disappeared, the music had stopped, and the expensive decorations were already being taken down. Only the cleaning staff remained, silently erasing every trace of the evening as if the celebration had never happened. Emma stood alone in the employee kitchen, holding a tiny chocolate cake she had bought on her way to work. It had cost exactly $7.99 at Walmart. The frosting was uneven, the cardboard box was slightly bent, and the single birthday candle she planned to use wasn't even hers. She had quietly borrowed it from the office supply closet because she couldn't justify spending extra money on something that would burn for only a few seconds. Today was her 25th birthday. 25 years of life. And not a single person was waiting to celebrate with her. She carefully placed the cake on the stainless steel counter and smiled sadly. "Well," she whispered to herself, "it's just you and me tonight." It had become her yearly tradition. Every birthday ended the same way, working overtime, buying herself the cheapest cake she could find, making one silent wish, and pretending, just for a few moments, that she wasn't completely alone. Outside the kitchen window, snow drifted gently through the dark Boise skyline. The city sparkled with lights, while inside the building everything felt cold and empty. Emma opened the cake box and laughed softly. "They couldn't even center your frosting." The tiny candle rolled off the box. She picked it up. Then sighed. "Great. I forgot the matches." Typical. She hurried down the hallway toward the supply closet, hoping someone had left a lighter inside. She was gone for less than 30 seconds. When she returned, she froze. The cake was still sitting on the counter, but nearly half of it had disappeared. For a second she honestly wondered if she had walked into the wrong kitchen. Then she noticed someone sitting casually on the counter. A tall man in a perfectly tailored charcoal suit. His jacket rested beside him. His sleeves were rolled up. His tie had been loosened. And in one hand, he held a plastic spoon. He wasn't tasting the cake. He was happily eating it. Emma's eyes widened. No. No way. There was only one person in the entire company who looked like that. Lucas West. The 32-year-old billionaire CEO of West Corp. The man whose photograph appeared in every business magazine in the country. The man employees rarely saw outside board meetings. The man everyone feared. And right now, he was eating her birthday cake. Emma stood there speechless, still holding the lonely birthday candle. Lucas scooped up another generous bite without even noticing her. Finally she cleared her throat. "Excuse me." No response. He continued eating. Emma tried again, louder. "Excuse me." Lucas slowly lifted his eyes. His expression remained calm. Almost bored. "What?" Emma blinked. What are you doing?" Lucas looked down at the cake. "Eating." She stared at him in disbelief. "I can see that." He shrugged. "I was hungry." For several seconds Emma couldn't even process what was happening. Was this some strange dream? Had exhaustion finally broken her brain? She pointed at the cake. "That's my cake." Lucas frowned slightly. "Your cake?" "Yes." He looked from the cake to her uniform, to her employee badge that simply read staff. Apparently, he hadn't recognized her as anything more than another member of the maintenance crew. I thought someone left it behind after the party. Emma let out one short, disbelieving laugh. You thought Walmart chocolate cake was executive catering? Lucas glanced at the damaged cardboard box. Only then did he notice the giant Walmart logo printed across the side. Fair point. Emma folded her arms tightly. I bought that with my own money. How much? She answered immediately. $7.99. Lucas blinked. You remember the exact price? I remember every dollar I spend. That answer hit him harder than she expected. For the first time, Lucas looked genuinely uncomfortable. He slowly set the spoon down. I'm sorry. Emma shook her head. No, you're not. I am. No, you're embarrassed because you got caught. Lucas didn't argue. Instead, he quietly looked at the half-eaten cake. Then back at Emma. Only then did he notice the small candle still clutched in her hand. His eyes narrowed slightly. The candle. Emma looked away. It's my birthday. The words barely came out above a whisper. Lucas's face changed completely. Your birthday? She gave a tired little laugh. Yeah. He looked at the cake again. Then at the empty kitchen. Then at the clock. 11:56 p.m. You were celebrating alone? Emma forced a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. I wasn't exactly throwing a party. Silence settled between them. Not awkward silence. Sad silence. Finally Emma spoke again. I just wanted 5 quiet minutes before midnight. Lucas rubbed the back of his neck. I honestly thought it was leftover dessert. Well. She looked at the ruined cake. It definitely isn't anymore. For a moment neither of them knew what to say. Then Lucas surprised her. He climbed down from the counter, opened a drawer, pulled out another plastic spoon, and handed it to her. I've already ruined it. Emma raised an eyebrow. So your solution is to finish the crime? A faint smile appeared on his face. My solution is to ask if you'll let me share the punishment. Despite herself. Emma laughed. A real laugh. The kind she hadn't heard from herself in months. Lucas sat down on the kitchen floor, his expensive suit touching the cold tiles without the slightest concern. Emma stared at him. Aren't you worried about ruining that suit? He glanced down. It was already ruined the moment I stole a birthday cake. She couldn't help smiling. After a few seconds, she slowly sat down beside him. The billionaire CEO. And the maintenance employee. Sharing what remained of an $8 birthday cake on the floor of an empty corporate kitchen. Lucas lifted his spoon. I'm really sorry, Emma. She looked at him. You know my name? I noticed your badge. She smiled softly. That's more attention than most people pay. Lucas didn't answer immediately. Instead, he looked directly into her eyes. Happy birthday, Emma. The words were simple. But somehow, they meant more than any expensive gift she had ever imagined. For the first time in years, Emma didn't feel invisible. And without realizing it, neither of them understood that a stolen $7 cake was about to change both of their lives forever. The next morning, Emma promised herself that whatever had happened the night before would stay exactly where it belonged, in the past. It had been nothing more than a strange, once-in-a-lifetime moment. A tired billionaire had mistaken her birthday cake for leftover dessert. They had shared a few awkward laughs. He had apologized. And that was the end of it. At least, that's what she kept telling herself. By Thursday morning, West Corp had returned to its usual rhythm. Employees rushed through the lobby carrying laptops and coffee cups, executives disappeared into glass conference rooms, and Emma quietly pushed her maintenance cart through the polished hallways like she always did. Invisible. Comfortably invisible. Around 10 o'clock, her supervisor stopped her near the elevators. Emma, one of the assistants, called in sick. Can you take this coffee order to the executive mezzanine? Emma glanced at the tray. 6 large cups of espresso. She sighed. I clean floors, Linda. And today you deliver coffee. Emma smiled weakly. Fair enough. She carefully balanced the tray and stepped inside the executive elevator. As the doors opened on the 45th floor, she immediately regretted accepting the task. Standing only a few feet away was Lucas West. He was speaking with 2 board members when he happened to look up. The moment their eyes met, a small smile appeared on his face. Not a polite corporate smile. A genuine one. The kind reserved for someone you were unexpectedly happy to see. Emma's heart skipped. Oh no. Please don't smile at me. Not here. Not in front of everyone. Trying to avoid eye contact, she tightened her grip on the tray. Big mistake. The tray tilted. 1 cup slipped. Then another. Time seemed to slow down. 6 cups of scorching hot espresso launched into the air like they had suddenly developed wings. The board members jumped backward. One assistant screamed. And every single cup landed directly on Lucas. Coffee splashed across his crisp white shirt, his tailored navy suit, and his polished shoes. Silence. Complete silence. The entire executive floor froze. Emma's face lost every drop of color. She swallowed. I'm so sorry. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Everyone simply waited for the explosion. Lucas West was known throughout the company for demanding perfection. People had been fired for far less. Emma closed her eyes. This was it. Her job was over. But instead of shouting, Lucas looked down at himself. Then at the puddle of coffee spreading across the marble floor. Then back at Emma. A second later. He laughed. Not a quiet chuckle. A full, genuine laugh that echoed through the executive hallway. You managed to hit every single cup. Emma stared at him. I wasn't aiming. I can see that. The board members looked completely confused. One of them had worked with Lucas for 12 years and had never once seen him laugh during business hours. Emma panicked. I'll pay for the dry cleaning. Lucas looked amused. Emma. I know this suit is expensive. It is. I'll work overtime. He folded his arms. You can't possibly afford this suit. I know. I'll sell my old laptop. He smiled. It still won't cover it. Emma sighed dramatically. Fine. She threw up her hands. I'll sell a kidney. For a second, Lucas simply stared at her. Then he laughed even harder. I appreciate the commitment. The tension across the entire floor disappeared. Even the assistants began smiling. Lucas removed his soaked jacket and handed it to his executive assistant. It's only coffee. Emma blinked. You're not angry? It was an accident. But your suit. I own more than one. Emma couldn't stop herself from smiling. Must be nice. It has its advantages. As she knelt to clean the spilled coffee, Lucas crouched beside her. What are you doing? She whispered. Helping. You don't help clean floors. Apparently I do now. Several executives exchanged shocked glances. Their billionaire CEO was on one knee cleaning spilled coffee with paper towels. If someone had recorded the moment, nobody outside the building would have believed it. Unfortunately, someone had. By lunchtime, a short video had quietly spread through the company's internal messaging platform. Within hours, almost everyone had seen it. The comments appeared one after another. Who's the maintenance girl? Looks like she found a shortcut to the CEO. Guess spilling coffee is the new promotion strategy. Some people really know how to get attention. Emma's stomach twisted as she read them. She had spent years trying not to be noticed. Now everyone was talking about her. The whispers followed her through every hallway. Conversations stopped whenever she entered a room. Some employees smiled politely. Others looked at her with open suspicion. By Friday morning, she was exhausted. She escaped to the small staff break room on the 45th floor, hoping for 5 minutes of peace before starting another shift. She poured herself a cup of coffee and leaned against the counter. Finally. Silence. Or so she thought. You really should stop apologizing for accidents. Emma didn't even have to turn around. I should have known. Lucas leaned casually against the doorway, holding his own coffee mug. You have a habit of appearing out of nowhere. He smiled. CEO privilege. No. She shook her head. Creepy billionaire privilege. Lucas laughed. I'll work on that. Emma took another sip. So. You survived the board meeting? Barely. And the coffee? I've switched to water. She smiled despite herself. I still feel terrible. You shouldn't. I ruined your suit. You gave the executive floor something interesting to talk about. That's exactly the problem. Lucas noticed her expression change. What happened? Emma hesitated before answering. People are talking. They always talk. They think I'm trying to get your attention. Lucas's smile faded. You know that's nonsense. I know. She looked down at her coffee. But rumors have a way of becoming facts in other people's minds. Lucas stood quietly for a moment. Then he spoke in a calm voice. Emma. She looked up. You don't have to make yourself smaller just because other people are uncomfortable seeing you. The words caught her off guard. I've spent most of my life trying not to stand out. I noticed. It keeps life simple. Lucas slowly shook his head. No. It keeps life lonely. Emma didn't know how to answer that. For the first time in years. Someone wasn't looking through her. Someone was actually seeing her. And neither of them realized that before the day was over, someone from Lucas's past was about to walk through that break room door and change everything. The clock had barely reached 11 when the quiet atmosphere inside the staff break room was shattered. The door swung open without a knock. A woman stepped inside wearing a designer cream-colored suit, diamond earrings that caught the light from every angle, and enough confidence to make the entire room feel smaller. She carried herself like someone who believed every place she entered already belonged to her. Emma recognized her immediately. Sabrina Carter. Lucas West's former fiancée. Her family owned one of the largest investment firms in the Northwest, and for years, business magazines had treated her relationship with Lucas as if it were a corporate merger instead of a romance. Sabrina's eyes landed on Lucas first. Then they slowly shifted toward Emma. Her perfectly painted smile faded. Lucas, she said smoothly, I didn't expect to find you hiding in the staff break room. Lucas's expression changed instantly. The warmth disappeared from his face. What are you doing here, Sabrina? I have a board meeting. She shrugged casually. I thought I'd come say hello. Her gaze returned to Emma. So. She looked Emma up and down as though inspecting old furniture. This must be the employee everyone's been whispering about. Emma remained silent. She had dealt with difficult people before. She knew that sometimes the smartest response was no response at all. Unfortunately, Sabrina wasn't interested in peace. I have to admit, she continued with a small laugh, I never imagined the famous Lucas West would spend his coffee breaks with maintenance staff. Emma quietly placed her coffee mug on the counter. Lucas answered before she could. She's an employee. Sabrina smiled sweetly. Oh, I know. She looked back at Emma. What exactly do you do? Emma met her eyes. I'm a maintenance and general services technician. Sabrina laughed softly. What a wonderfully complicated way to say cleaning lady. The room became very still. Emma felt the familiar sting she had carried most of her life. People rarely saw the work. They only saw the uniform. Normally, she would have smiled politely and walked away. Not today. She took a slow breath. My job is to make sure this building functions every single day. Her voice remained calm. I don't find that embarrassing. Sabrina folded her arms. How admirable. She turned toward Lucas again. You've always had a soft spot for charity. Lucas's jaw tightened. This has nothing to do with charity. No? Sabrina tilted her head. Then why is the CEO suddenly spending so much time with someone who cleans the offices? Emma could see where this was going. She reached for her cart. I should get back to work. Before she could leave, Sabrina spoke again. Actually. Emma stopped. I've always been curious. What does someone like you even talk about with a billionaire? Emma slowly turned back around. She had tolerated enough. You really want to know? Sabrina smiled confidently. Please. Emma folded her arms. We mostly talk about cake. Sabrina frowned. Cake? The kind people accidentally steal. Lucas lowered his head, trying very hard not to laugh. Emma continued. And coffee. The kind people accidentally wear. A smile tugged at the corner of Lucas's mouth. Sabrina looked from one to the other, completely confused. Then realization slowly appeared on her face. Oh. So those rumors were true. There are no rumors, Lucas said firmly. Sabrina ignored him. Instead, she took one step closer to Emma. I'll give you some advice. Emma didn't move. People from different worlds don't build futures together. Her voice was polite. But every word carried quiet contempt. You may enjoy the attention for a while. But eventually people remember where everyone belongs. Emma looked at her for several seconds. When she finally spoke, her voice remained perfectly calm. I've never wanted anyone's attention. Sabrina smirked. Really? Emma nodded. I only wanted basic respect. Silence. Then she added quietly. Some people confuse the two. Sabrina's smile disappeared. You have quite a sharp tongue. Emma shrugged. It usually stays quiet. But it doesn't enjoy being insulted. Sabrina turned toward Lucas. Are you seriously going to stand there while she speaks to me like this? Lucas stepped forward. His voice was calm. Cold. And impossible to misunderstand. No. Sabrina smiled, believing she had won. But Lucas continued. I'm going to stand here and make sure you don't speak to her like that again. The room fell completely silent. Sabrina stared at him. You can't be serious. I've never been more serious. Lucas walked until he stood beside Emma. Not in front of her. Not behind her. Beside her. Emma works harder than many executives in this building. He looked directly at Sabrina. She deserves the same respect as everyone else. Sabrina laughed in disbelief. You're choosing an employee over me? Lucas didn't hesitate. I'm choosing respect over arrogance. The words landed like a slap. For the first time since entering the room, Sabrina had nothing to say. She picked up her designer handbag. This isn't over. Lucas calmly opened the door for her. I sincerely hope it is. She glared at Emma one last time before walking out. The door closed behind her. The silence that followed felt almost unreal. Emma finally let out the breath she had been holding. You know, she said with a nervous laugh. I have a strange talent for making powerful women hate me. Lucas smiled. I think they simply underestimate you. Emma shook her head. You didn't have to defend me. Yes. He looked at her without looking away. I did. She searched his face. Why? Lucas was quiet for several seconds. Then he answered honestly. Because I've spent too many years watching people measure others by their job titles. His eyes softened. And I'm tired of pretending that's acceptable. Emma felt something tighten in her chest. No one had ever defended her like that. Not a manager. Not a supervisor. Not even members of her own family. She looked down at the cleaning cloth still resting in her hands. I've spent years trying to become invisible. Lucas gently smiled. Then everyone else has been looking in the wrong direction. Their eyes met. Neither of them spoke. Neither of them needed to. Outside the break room, another ordinary workday continued. Phones rang. Printers hummed. Meetings began. But inside that small room, something had quietly changed. Neither of them realized it yet. But the distance between a lonely maintenance technician and the billionaire who had accidentally stolen her birthday cake had become much smaller than either of them had ever imagined. Over the next few weeks, something unexpected began to happen. It wasn't dramatic. There were no grand romantic gestures. No headlines. No secret dates. Instead, it was the little moments that slowly changed everything. Every morning, Lucas somehow found an excuse to walk past the maintenance department before his first meeting. Some days he simply wished Emma a good morning. Other days he asked if she had eaten breakfast. Once, he even brought 2 cups of coffee and admitted with a grin, I carried them very carefully this time. Emma laughed. I appreciate the improvement. Their conversations rarely lasted more than a few minutes. Yet somehow, those few minutes became the favorite part of both their days. Employees began noticing. Unlike the cruel rumors that had spread after the coffee accident, this time people noticed something different. Lucas greeted security guards by name. He thanked janitors. He spoke to receptionists instead of walking past them. It was as if meeting Emma had reminded him that every person inside West Corp mattered. Even longtime employees noticed the change. I've worked here 15 years, one maintenance worker whispered. I've never seen Mr. West smile this much. Emma tried not to think about it. She reminded herself every day that Lucas belonged to a completely different world. Sooner or later, reality would catch up with both of them. Then, one rainy Monday afternoon, reality arrived. Emma was cleaning one of the executive conference rooms when she accidentally overheard a conversation through the half-open door. The board is concerned. Another voice answered. Investors are already asking questions. Someone sighed. If the CEO keeps attracting personal gossip, it could affect next quarter's negotiations. Emma froze. A third voice spoke quietly. His friendship with that maintenance employee needs to end. Her heart sank. She didn't wait to hear another word. She quietly pushed her cart away and finished the rest of her shift in silence. That evening, Lucas found her in the employee parking garage. She was standing beside the old sedan she had owned since college. You disappeared today. Emma forced a smile. I was busy. You've been avoiding me. She looked away. No. You have. For several moments, neither of them spoke. Finally, Emma broke the silence. I heard the board talking. Lucas's expression immediately changed. They're worried about the company's image. He didn't deny it. They're worried about gossip. Still. He remained silent. Emma nodded slowly. I understand. No. Lucas stepped closer. You don't. I do. She looked up at him. You've spent your whole life building this company. I'm not going to become the reason people question your judgment. You aren't. They already are. Lucas rubbed his forehead in frustration. I don't care what they think. But you should. She smiled sadly. Because thousands of people depend on this company. And because someday. She hesitated. You'll resent me if I become another problem you have to solve. Lucas looked at her with genuine disbelief. You honestly think that's how I see you? Emma didn't answer. She didn't have to. The silence answered for her. Lucas took one slow step forward. Emma. His voice was softer than she had ever heard before. The first night we met. You remember what you told me? She smiled faintly. I said you stole my birthday cake. You also said nobody ever noticed you. She nodded. I remember. I noticed. Emma looked down. That was one night. Lucas shook his head. No. It was the beginning. He took a deep breath. I've negotiated billion-dollar contracts. I've spoken before world leaders. I've made decisions that affected thousands of employees. But telling you this. He laughed quietly. Is somehow the hardest thing I've ever done. Emma's heartbeat quickened. Lucas. I don't care where you work. I don't care how much money you make. I don't care what the board says. He looked directly into her eyes. I care about you. The words hung in the cool evening air. Emma felt tears gathering before she even realized she was crying. I've spent years believing people only notice titles. Lucas gently smiled. I noticed your kindness. Your courage. The way you laugh even after difficult days. The way you make everyone around you feel seen. He paused. And somehow, you made the richest man in the room realize how poor he'd been. Emma laughed through her tears. That's a very dramatic confession. I've had weeks to practice. It still needs work. Probably. She shook her head, smiling. Then her expression softened. You know. What? My birthday wish. Lucas frowned. You made one? I did. What was it? Emma looked at him for a long moment. I wished that, just once, I wouldn't feel alone. Lucas reached for her hand. Very carefully. Giving her every chance to pull away. She didn't. He intertwined his fingers with hers. You won't have to make that wish again. A tear rolled down Emma's cheek. She laughed softly. You still owe me half a birthday cake. Lucas smiled. I owe you much more than that. 1 month later, the entire company gathered once again on the 45th floor. This time, however, there was no corporate celebration. No speeches about profits. No expensive decorations. Instead, every employee, from executives to maintenance staff, had received the same handwritten invitation. When Emma stepped into the employee lounge, she stopped in complete surprise. The room had been transformed. Simple balloons. Warm lights. Fresh flowers. And in the center, a beautiful chocolate birthday cake. Not an expensive designer cake. Not a luxury dessert. Just a simple chocolate cake with one candle. Exactly like the one that had started everything. Lucas stood beside it, smiling. I believe. He said loud enough for everyone to hear. We have a birthday celebration that was interrupted. The room burst into applause. Emma covered her mouth, unable to hold back her tears. Lucas handed her the candle. This time. He smiled gently. No one stealing the cake. Everyone laughed. Emma closed her eyes. Made one final wish. Then opened them again. She looked around the room. For the first time in her life, she wasn't celebrating alone. And she realized something beautiful. Sometimes, life doesn't change because of grand miracles. Sometimes, it changes because a lonely woman buys a $7 cake. And a tired billionaire accidentally takes the first bite. If you enjoyed Emma and Lucas's journey, let us know your rating from 0 to 10 in the comments below. And don't forget to tell us which city you're watching from. We'll see you in the next story.